y'all, welcome back to Knitting in Our Jeans. I'm Liz.
I'm Carolyn.
And you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Toolizzforyou, Toolizzforyou.
And I'm cpredmor on Ravelry and occasionally post as Knitting in Our Jeans on Instagram, right? Yes. And that's all the social media I get involved with. Yes.
So, 1 minute world life update.
You're back.
Well, yes, I'm back.
Yes.
I have been tested. I am negative.
Several times. We still won't hug and kiss.
No, which is very...
It's upsetting.
It took us a little bit. It took us a little bit on when I showed up yesterday. We both were like, I want to give you a hug.
Yes. And
I think that was the first time in the 10 months that, like, it's been overwhelming.
It was rather overwhelming. But, you know, we're strong people.
We can do this.
We hold to our convictions.
Father already folded, so he does side hugs. He does side hugs facing away.
Ah, okay, so no breathing.
No breathing. When I broke down in September and I got, like, I rage cried in the living room, and then you were like, go make dinner with your father. That was when he broke, and he was like, you need a hug. Side hug. It's very cute. But up until then, no. But yeah, see, it's a side hug.
No breathing.
Nope. But other than that, if you were the trip was good.
It was 16 hours.
It was 16 hours each way, including
I had the Lizz cam up, which is find your friends.
Yes.
And we tracked her the entire way. So, she hit Virginia. She's at her uncle's house. Okay.
Yeah, I ended up spending about an hour each way at my aunt and uncle's, just to have a place to just stand. I just stood for an hour in a bathroom, and I got to see the dog. He was
the dog
too
is a
funny.
German Shepherd. Oh, too funny?
He was too funny. First time I show up, he haroos at me from behind the fence, and I walk up to him and I go, you know me, and then he goes, I do know you. Oh. And he's like trying to get me to pet him, and I'm like, you just haroofed at me, sir.
Yeah, but I don't see that good. So.
Make up your mind. So
I don't expect you here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please hug me.
So then when on the way back when I stopped, he was on the front porch, and so he was ready, and he harooed too. To which I was like, this poor boy just must haroo at everyone. And to which my uncle said, well, yes, because they have moved to a less densely populated area. So he's just trying to bark at everything.
He's trying to ascertain friends.
Yes,
you know?
well, and he's...
I'm here, come play with me.
Yes, and also, like, this is my area. This is mine. I'm going to haroo at you no matter what, because I do not get to haroo at things as much as I did 6 months ago.
He's even gone in swimming.
I know. He's too funny.
He never went in swimming before.
He hated to swim.
I know. Now he's going in swimming.
He's too funny.
They back up to the James River, so he apparently jumps off the dock and goes swimming.
He's enjoying retirement.
He is. Very much so, although I think he misses Joe a lot.
I think so, probably. But yeah, so he was adorable, especially because then my aunt let him off of the porch and so that he could run at the car. And he run down the car, he stuck his nose in my car, looked at me, and he was essentially like, car? I go, car? And he saw it was packed, and I'm like, no, you know fit. You big boy, you know fit in my stuffed car.
He's huge.
He is. But it was very funny because he wouldn't stop running around when he got back in the house so that my little cousin... so that my little cousin could wipe off his feet. Because it was wet. Because it had rained.
So he was very excited.
He was very excited. He got a new bunny for Christmas. He showed that off. It was very exciting. So I did get to see my cousin on the way back, which was really nice. It was really nice being able to stop also to see some friends in the Philly and Cherry Hill, New Jersey area. I saw one set of friends on the way down, one set of friends on the way back, which was lovely to just have someone to just
And you also had the
talk
option
to.
if you wanted to spend the night.
Yeah, I could have spent the night at my aunt and uncle's. I could have,
On the way back, you could.
I could have stopped at some other people's and stayed. Yeah.
So that was nice, and then you can assess whether you feel like driving the rest of the way, or can I pull the plug here?
I would have at my aunt and uncle's, but my aunt and uncle do not have as solid internet.
Right.
Just yet. They're still figuring out how to get that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to get it because their youngest daughter can't come and visit for very long without it. She's a PhD student and also teaches at the school that she is attending. And you have to have good internet in order to have those online classes. So
yeah, so
I'm sure that will push them.
Hopefully, but I couldn't have worked from their house on Monday, or else I definitely would have done it. Because it was driving across.
North Carolina's big.
Yeah, North Carolina's
Going
big.
This way.
Yeah. But yeah.
West to east.
So, in world news, on Wednesday, if you are in the United States or around the world, you probably know what happened at our country's capital. It is abhorrent. They are domestic terrorists and insurgents, and we do not stand for that here. Because if their skin tone was any different, they would have been treated significantly differently.
There would have been additional forces if they were anticipating different skin colors or different last names.
And
but it's very upsetting. My grandparents were in the Washington D.C. area my entire life, and so every holiday was spent in the Washington D.C. area, which meant that my dad would take the kids out to local Washington monuments and locations. So I can't tell you how many times I've been to the Smithsonian. I think I've been to all of the Smithsonians. I've been to the I love the Hirshhorn Art Museum. I really do, in their outside garden gallery. And I've been to the Capitol. Now, I have to say that when I was there as a child, I was most intrigued by the rotunda. We honestly tried to whisper at one side and hear it on the other. It didn't work. But in terms of seeing things there really wasn't much to see other than the rotunda, because it was during a holiday, I think probably Thanksgiving, and of course everybody is home celebrating Thanksgiving. But I've been in the building, and it's a very special building. It means so much, and to know that the last time it had been occupied was by the British in the War of 1812 really puts a lot of gravity on the fact that a group of homegrown Americans thought it was a good idea.
Domestic terrorists.
Well, they are homegrown Americans.
I know them, but I'm also...
thought it was a good idea to go in and trash the Capitol. And some went in with zip ties, looking like they were going to hold someone hostage.
So,
Jetta Bush Hager burst into tears. It was either Thursday morning or Friday morning when she described that for those of us, and I'm minimally involved in having been there and seen it, but for she says she's played in the rotunda, that she knows where people are there, and she just it is unthinkable. I'm sorry that I can now contemplate it, because that was one of the things that we had always said. The only time the White House and the Capitol had been occupied was in the War of 1812 by an opposite army, an opposing army. Force. Yes, and I'm so sad, so very sad, so very sad.
I want to say this. If you haven't been listening since we've been talking about it since this summer and previously, on this channel, Black Lives Matter, all humans are, human rights are...
Women's rights are human rights.
No human is illegal, and our trans brothers and sisters are our brothers and sisters. This is not a place for intolerance. If you feel that anyone who was involved in the insurgency of Wednesday was in the right, please leave, because they are Nazis. They are neo-Nazis, and I have too many people who I love dearly who are Jewish and Black and Hispanic and all of that to even want to continue to welcome you here.
For me, it's the perception of why don't they believe the courts? The matter of stealing votes has been in 60 different lawsuits in different states. And I don't understand why they won't believe the judicial system. We have prided ourselves on being under the rule of law. And under the rule of law means that you pay attention to those arbiters of our laws and regulations. And that, in this case, is the judicial system. I was very much afraid they were going to march in the Supreme Court. So that upset me. The fact, I think that the Capitol was so poorly guarded was because no one believed that this would happen. And so I think that speaks to white privilege, because any group of any other people, they would have, even women, if that group had been all women, you know that they would have been out there with their howitzers. So anyway, it's very upsetting.
And we are listening.
Look, you
yes,
see that?
I know. You burnt yourself on your charger. I'm sorry. Bad charger.
Yes,
bad charger. So, to just wrap that up, we are continuing to listen and learn, and we are looking for ways of action moving forward. Just because Biden will be inaugurated and has been certified as our president-elect does not mean it is the end, and it does not mean that with that everything will get better. We have a lot of work to do, and as white women, we have a lot of work to do to stand in the gap for our brothers and sisters who have that gap. So,
which reflects back on my desire to have a hand-cracked sewing machine.
Yes.
It's because I choose to look at what can be done locally. My ability to do any long-term marching is slim and none.
Is behind you due to your age.
And hopefully I'll be able to go back to like 2 miles or something. But right now I seem to have patella tendonitis. And so I'm looking more for the local community. And we're reading Bishop Michael Curry's book on love. And for those of you who don't know who he is, he was the American preacher who preached love at Meghan and Harry's wedding.
And he is the current presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church.
Right. And he wrote this book on love and how love can also entail action.
And even you don't, just because you love someone doesn't mean you have to like them.
Any of you who've raised children can understand that.
I'm still alive. It's all good.
Yeah. So anyway.
But yeah, I wanted to bring that up because
you feel strongly about it.
I feel very strongly about it. It has affected my week immensely. And we're working, I am working to find actionable,
appropriate outlets for your energy.
And actionable items.
Yes.
Because,
which I think dovetails with our being Episcopalian and our reading of our books that we've been reading since August?
Yeah.
No, July.
June.
Somewhere this summer our book club started, which is moderated by the minister, our minister, and then people from all over the parish can dial in, which has been edifying for me, and we've looked at a number of different things. So anyway, love often means action and stepping in where perhaps angels might fear to tread. It's like looking at someone who's mistreating a child and saying, no, that's not right, stop. So it's looking not only within your family, but also what's happening around you. And I'm going to leave it there.
Okay. We're going to leave it there. If you have decided
my hand
on
the cord to the computer, and I don't know why it's overheating like that, because I don't know that it's done well. anyway, it's an old computer, so it may be on its last legs.
But we're leaving it at that. And if you have problems with what we've said, please leave. You do not need to announce your departure. But we will see you again at some point if you decide to rejoin us, if that's how you feel. But please do not cause drama in our comments, because we're just not going to tolerate it. And with that, what have you been doing for the last 2 weeks?
Well, I've started reorganizing my fabric, and I had the downstairs double door closet stuffed with fabric, not only in bins, but outside of bins.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the fabric that was outside of the bins, if it was wool, it had been eaten. And I had 2 pieces of winter white wool. Stunning stuff. I believe I had bought it either from Mood or
G Street
Fabrics. It was a beautiful weight. Would have been great for jackets and slacks, and I found another cut that I think only the first wrap had been eaten, but I didn't know. You don't know where those little bugs are.
No.
So I threw it out.
Oh.
So I have found more yarn, which is over there, 100% wool. I don't even know how old it is.
Well, you also found this.
Yes, and I found this. This is Emu Glimmer. Isn't this lovely? You're probably thinking, it is ridiculous. And I was going to throw it out. And then I remembered my grandniece. This is obviously something I was going to make. And I think I probably realized I didn't have enough. But it's incredibly soft. I mean, a lot of this overly sparkly stuff that's acrylic is stiff. But this is really soft.
Yeah.
So
it's like a boucle.
Yes. We are going to have a known length of yarn, and then we're going to weigh it, and so they'll be able to figure out how much yardage is in each ball.
Because the ball band doesn't say.
No.
And we haven't been able to find it on Ravelry or any other site.
They talk about this on Ravelry, but no yardage.
Yeah.
So apparently no one knows the yardage, so we'll figure it out, and then I'll be able to figure out a pattern to do for Chloe.
Little Miss.
Yes. Because I think one of those skirts with multiple layers would be so cute. So anyway, I have gone through my fabric. We have a pile that's going into the trash. Bug-eaten. Things that have been used to test embroidery, machine embroidery. Odds and ends. Oh, anything like Stitch Witchery, which is easily 10 years old, is going in the trash because I wouldn't trust the iron-on for it. Yeah, so all that's in the trash. Then I have another pile that I'm delivering to a woman tomorrow because she does quilting, and she gives her quilts to, she told me, I think it's an old age home. And then when they're overstuffed with quilts, she has another charitable outlet for them. So I said, fine. So we have a chair full of what I believe are cottons, some of which it's muslin, so she certainly can use muslin. Some may be over bright for her. That's her decision. And then I have a pile that goes to Goodwill because the Goodwill in Northport will take fabric. So by the end...
And it will sort whether or not they can resell it or they recycle it.
Right. So some they'll sell as complete yardage, and some will go into recycling. And what am I getting rid of? There's a piece of linen that it's lovely, but I'm not wearing suits anymore, really. And so it's not a color combination that I feel like the sherbet plaid.
Oh yeah.
That I feel that I'm likely to need in the next 20 years. So I did get rid of a piece of tweed from Carlisle, Linton, because I bought it. I think there was a special deal.
There must have been, because everything else is very your colors, and that one isn't, and I don't understand why you did it.
Maybe it was buy 4 get 5, 5th one free or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's going. The weave is very loose. I'd have to underline it in order to stabilize it. And the color isn't exciting enough for me to want to do that. So they will be gone. Well, the cotton's gone tomorrow, and the rest of it's probably gone by the end of the week. We have unearthed my mother-in-law's mink coat, which is too small for me, too small for Elizabeth, so that went to the church.
Well, yeah, if it's too small for you.
We unearthed 2 more spode teapots.
Oh.
In the Christmas tree pattern. I don't really care for that because it chips if I look at it twice. And
right.
I guess I'm somewhat clumsy with my china, or any china. And my china is bone china, and it doesn't do anything odd. It doesn't chip. It doesn't crack. It doesn't do anything like that. And the spode, I look at it cross-eyed, and it cracks. There's another few cracks. But there are some people at church who like the spode. So I just gave the church the spode. And they will probably be sold by the end of the week. What else? I found, at one point I was doing a fair amount of stained glass. And I had bought some contraptions that would make it a lot easier to roll the copper foil around the edges and then to solder. So I had 2 different helping tools, and they went to the church. What else?
I now have a back seat full of fabric.
That you wanted.
That I am so excited about because I have this. The pandemic is a problem because I haven't been able to see the people I love as often as I would like. We
right.
have not been able to hug since March.
Right.
There are problems with this pandemic.
Which are somewhat minor.
Somewhat.
I mean, I don't call Ben minor, but
no.
The hugging
yes.
is somewhat minor because we're here.
Yes. But like I haven't seen one of my friends who I saw on the way down to see Ben, I hadn't seen since last New Year's.
Right.
So that had been a year, and we've tried very hard not to go that long previously.
No, it's only been a couple months in between.
So that was rough, realizing that. And then, just things like that have been rough. But I have reaffirmed the fact that I really enjoy making clothes for myself that fit. We always knew this about knitting, that I like making sweaters that fit. But I really like making dresses and making pants and making just things that fit me. I have a lot of things from a company called Pinup Girl Clothing that happen to fit me very well. I don't think I'm going to stop buying because I buy judiciously from them. And I wear their stuff a lot. Quite a lot. But I do think I want to start making more of my everyday pieces.
I had a lot of wool.
You had a lot of wool. Plus, I have been saying this entire time how I want to get into the historical costuming.
So there's brocade. There's
some brocades. There's some
stiff shantung.
The silk.
Tussa or shantung.
The tussa, the silk, a bunch of wools, some stretch, which will probably be made into like joggers or either sweatpants or into like a wrap dress. There's some linens that might be used as well. So I'm very lucky that
I offloaded.
Mom offloaded because now I don't have to worry about that initial buying of fabric and figuring out what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this. I mean, I took some fabric that I don't particularly care for, but I think it's a heavy, like the coated cotton, I think would be nice to use as a corset fabric.
Yes, that would be so pretty.
I know.
That would be gorgeous.
I know.
Yes.
And it's a heavy weight, and I think it'll be good. So I can start working on those things
get that
again.
box? I'll show you the 6. See the box over there? That's my embroidery box.
Ah.
I found 6 more gold dimension cross stitches.
Did you finish anything this week? Or in the
No.
last 2 weeks? Oh.
No, I didn't.
Well, hold on.
Because I was working on a secret project.
Oh, yeah.
Which I hope to be able to show you all, if not next week, then the week after.
Did I drop any? I dropped
Yes.
one hoop. One hoop.
This whole box is not of the things I just found. Whoops. There. Okay.
Oh. So, while Mom shows you this, we also picked out some linen that we're going to keep for stitching purposes.
Yes.
Because it's an openish, it's not a tight weave, but it's also, like, it's a good...
Do you want to bring New York that's on the top step there?
Yep.
All right. I finished this needlepoint a while ago.
Years
and this
ago.
is New York City. I have London.
You also have my yarn wrapped around it somehow.
Oh. I'm so clever.
You are.
So now I have London. So I found that in my box.
You can make a bag with one side New York and one side London.
Oh, that would be lovely. That really would be cute.
I'm so good at this. I'm so helpful.
You're very helpful. You're all the helpful.
Oh my
I said I
word.
wanted Christmas angels to do. Look at this. And I've got St. Nicholas. So Santa at his best.
Oh, another angel.
Another angel.
And another Santa.
Oh, there's another thing down there. And another Santa, windblown.
Under all this? We're in the back here?
There. Look at that.
Oh my word. Wow.
Look at that. So I also found some of my smaller counter cross stitches that I had gotten from Liberty Store in London. This is Windsor Castle as a counted cross stitch, and I haven't even opened it. Then I also have Tower Bridge, and there's a few more in there.
You have also, but you found your Arc de Triomphe?
I think that's it.
Yeah, it's probably not. This one you've already started.
I started. This is Anne Hathaway's house.
But yeah.
So,
look at you.
None of these had I replicated. I thought about it, but I didn't. And now I'm so thrilled. I didn't even know I had them. I mean, I didn't know I had them because I hadn't found them before. I also found several of my hoops.
Good.
I found another
scroll.
Wooden scroll thing. I found 2. One that has feet, one that doesn't.
Okay.
So that is excellent. Did I finish it? Actually, I finished one mitten.
Okay.
So I can show that. For any of you who are wondering about my poor mother and her birthday present, you know I finished the ornament.
Yes, it's
which
over
is
there under
over
the
here.
cotton.
There it is. So this has been finished. I think I finished it Christmas Day.
You did.
So that's finished. And then I will say that when I find the name of this from the mitten pattern, we will let you know, because this pattern has been wonderful. There's this. I do love this mitten, and I like it particularly because the thumb is high enough up your hand so that it's not pulling the wrist up. Whereas the last pair that I made for myself, the thumb is too close to the cuff. So this pattern I really like a lot. So there's the finished mitten. I think it may be a little tall, but you know, it gives you a little more room in your mitten. So I finished one mitten, and I've already separated for the thumb on the second one. So I happen to be working on curtains for the basement. My husband decided he needed matching curtains for the basement. So I think tonight I may try to finish those curtains. We'll see how that goes. And it's fabric that I had here. And I do want to try to finish or get close to finishing so I know I can give the rest of it to the woman who wants the cotton. If I wasn't doing that, I'd probably be able to close off this mitten tonight, because once you get rid of the thumb and the increase gusset for the thumb, it goes straight up pretty quickly. And you can see that's me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of thrumming, and the rest of it's straight knitting. So that works out really well. So that's where I am here. I've just done 2 rows past the thumb gusset. So that's good. So I finished 1 mitten. So my mom will, this will be finished probably
this week.
Wednesday, by Wednesday, and we'll be able to mail it off, and she'll get it sometime. My niece finally got her sweater, the day before you drove through?
I think so.
Yeah, so, and we had sent that Prime?
I don't know.
What did we send? The
First class priority?
Yes, first class priority, which, not quite, but it went to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So it got there really fast to Wisconsin, and then it sat in Richmond for quite a while. But anyway, she finally got it. It looks good on her.
It does.
And it's made out of that half wool, half cotton. I think it'll be fine for Miami. So I have finished this much. Would you like me to keep going on what I worked on?
I mean, I can show what I finished.
Okay.
So, I guess the night we recorded, I finished my Jigshawl.
Cool.
So now all I have to do is put the edge on. So I'll have to pick that up. I hope to get that done this month. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself about when exactly that will happen. I also finished a pair of socks.
Oh, wow.
Out of the Advent kit of self-striping yarns from the friend of mine.
Ends.
No, I mean...
No. Those were the ones that did themselves.
Well, no, I mean, I have little bits of ends, but not much. I did the magic join thing, the 2 knots that
hit each other. And you cut them short?
I might leave them. I mean, I left that much of a... And I might leave them.
I do that kind of join, and I'm always still worried that they're going to come untied if I cut them too short.
So I just leave them. I might just leave them. Like, it doesn't bug my feet to wear them.
What's the pattern?
So these are the vanilla reversed, or the reversed vanilla is the new black. So the heel can be worn either with purl side out or with knit side out.
Oh, wow.
Depending on if you don't like to step on the purl side. These are knit on 2.5s, and they're 64 stitches. They're a little big, so the next pair, as I showed you all a few weeks ago, I had started, and I made 1 sock with the next set of
transition
balls. And this is a 64 stitch sock on size 1s, with a 68 stitch heel. And this one fits really well.
Okay.
Really, really well. So I have this, and then I also...
You bought something that matches that?
I'm working on it right now.
Oh.
I'm working on the match of that. And then I also cast on, because you all saw the Harry Potter sock yarn that I was given. I knit the sock, and I got some contrasting yarn for heels and toes and cuff. I think I'm going to make the cuff match the height of the toe, just for symmetry reasons. And then I will make the second one. This is on 2.5s, and it's 60 stitches.
Oh, okay.
If it's a little bit better, it's still a bit big. So I maybe 2s. I don't know. The knitting with size 1s hurts.
Oh, okay.
But it could be the fact that I'm knitting on the Chow Goose. So metal needles.
Right. Okay.
But then...
if you try the...
Yeah. So then
others.
I started another... I have... Y'all, with everything that's been going on... Well, so while I was down in South Carolina, it was really easy for me to pick up a mini... and stick it in my pocket and walk around with socks to knit on while we were doing whatever we were doing. So I ended up just continuing to work on socks predominantly. But I did end up going and getting a pair of Clovers in size 1s, but the actual needles are like way too short for my preference. So I do think I'm going to try and get a pair of Carbons in size 1s and see how those feel, because these feel like I'm going to break them.
We'll go over there and see if I have a loose pair.
Okay, I'll go take a look.
Yeah. I may have a pair down on the table downstairs.
Okay. But these are actually going to end up probably being my knee highs. So I'm thinking now that the heel is completely decreased out, I'm going to, try them on and then continue to increase for my calf. But I don't want to work on these until I finish the match for this and the match for this. So that I'm not having 5 million socks that don't have pairs. So yeah, but those are things I finished. Okay. I have also been working
I have other things
on things. So why don't you talk about what you've been working on?
Okay. So I went back and I started working on my sweater.
Ooh.
And I have gotten to the point where it is
asymmetrical.
Yes, it's asymmetrical. Whoops. There. And
it splits for the hem.
That's right. Oh. So I've gotten to the hem split. So this is actually going to be the finished edge.
Okay.
So it actually goes around like that.
Oh, very cool.
And I was really rocking this. I really love this sweater. The instructions for it are fabulous.
That's good to know, because I do have yarn for one.
They're fabulous.
All right.
They're easy for me. Very easy for me to work on. So that I am thrilled with. The other thing I did, I stuck this in my bag. I had DVDs of Elizabeth Zimmerman, right. When they came out in the 70s, 80s, I bought them.
You had the VCR tapes when they came out in the 80s.
And then I had DVDs.
The DVDs
And I don't watch them, but if they were files, I would watch them. So I wrote to Schoolhouse Press.
Oh, you did?
And I said, do you see a problem? And these are the 6 that I own. Do you see a problem in my transferring them to a file that then I wouldn't lose? And these are the inserts from the DVDs, so that's what this is all about. And Corey wrote back and said, knock yourself out.
Good.
So my husband and I finally figured out how to do this, because you couldn't do a direct copy. That didn't work. We had to do something else. I would tell you the name of the software if I could remember it. But it was something we looked up on the internet, and it works. Maybe Handbrake or something like that. And it works very well, and I was able to play them from the files. I'm very, very pleased. So we got that done.
I'm glad you contacted Schoolhouse Press to confirm that,
that, since I own the DVDs
and
already.
Just confirming it wasn't breaking copyright.
No.
Yeah.
He said, fine.
Nice.
So we do have them for streaming, but since you've already paid for the CDs or the DVDs, I don't see a problem. So I said, great. Yeah. So I did that. And then another thing I picked up is my Swedish mitten.
Oh.
And I have actually made some progress with it. It's 2 different patterns, a different pattern on the front and the back. I can only do about somewhere between 6 and 10 rows before it starts to hurt, because it's either gonna the hands start to hurt. There's a lot of tensioning apparently that's going on, but it's twinned knitting.
Okay.
Not double knitting.
Okay.
Twinned knitting, which means you do have a double layer of yarn going through this. In fact, they want you to be twisting this. This is the thumb and gusset. they want you to be twisting the yarns with almost every stitch so that there's that you're carrying from behind. I'm trying to do it pretty loosely, and so far I've been able to keep it so that I can get my hand in it. So that's good. So I was working on this, so this was by my side, and then I spoke sharply to, and then I picked up my secret project.
That apparently you had to speak sharply to.
Well, that I started years ago. Years ago? Yeah, a couple of years ago. And thought it was taking forever, so I put it aside. And now I said, I found it. And I said, I really should finish this. So
now that you say these things, I think I know what it is.
I have made great strides.
Oh.
And I
think
think it'll be finished in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, but I have to finish my mother's mittens.
Yes.
Yes.
And she can only work on it when I'm not here.
Right.
I mean, last night you could have worked on it. I was dead to the world pretty early.
You were out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I left you downstairs.
You did.
I said, go to bed. You didn't move.
I didn't even hear you.
Yes, well, you must have, because you moaned.
I didn't.
You made a noise.
Ben will tell you, that does not mean I heard you.
Well.
That does not mean I heard you enough that I will remember in the morning.
But I left lights on.
You did. And I wasn't sure if you were still leaving the bathroom light on throughout the night.
You could have turned that off, because it's probably what woke me up this morning.
Well, I'm sorry.
So, anyway, so I've been working on that, and you will be impressed with me when I show you what it is and what I got done. So I'm very, very pleased with myself. But it did mean that I had to stop working on those mittens to get my mother's mittens done, because I had to speak to myself quite sharply that I couldn't keep working on these other things that I found. Like, oh, look at what else I found. Oh, look at what else I found. From cleaning up, which probably speaks to the idea that I do have far too much. So this really is a first world problem. But it's pandemic. I'm not going out except with my mask on to physical therapy and to drop this cotton off at this woman's house. And she's not even going to come outside. She's going to wave to me from the window, which is very sweet. She's my age, if not a little older. And I understand. I told her I would be very happy just to put it on her porch. We don't even have to talk to each other.
Yeah.
She said, but I want to say a thank you. Well, whatever.
Okay.
You can call me back, or something. So I'm trying to isolate fairly much.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see.
Hopefully we'll get the vaccine.
Yes, hopefully. The New York has opened up to 1B now. So it's 1A and 1B. I'm in, and you're also, we think of this also in 1C.
Due to the fact that I work in construction.
So we're waiting to hear. I had my yearly physical sometime last week, Tuesday, and the doctor there is affiliated with North Shore Hospital, and he said they have not heard that his whole office had either gotten their first shot or already had their appointment for later that week for their first shot. My physical therapy office, by today, everyone will have gotten their first shot. So it's moving along. I will be very happy to get that vaccine. So looking at my bag, that's all that I did work on that I can show you.
Oh, wow. So I also worked on my sweater, my test knit, which has now been released. And she is running a knit along this month for it, but I finished the big section, finished the big zigzag section, and I am most of the way through the next colorwork section, and then I have one more colorwork section. I have this colorwork section to go, and then I will have just the ribbing. I really, really like this a lot.
I can't wait to finish it.
I can't wait to finish it either. That's the back. This is the front. I really like the sweater, the linen and silk one I made. I have worn that more since I made it than I had anticipated.
That's always good.
I mean, I think I say that a lot of the time about sweaters I'm not sure about. Though I liked the colors anyways. I think I was just more concerned about the linen silk content. But I actually wore it for my drive down to South Carolina. And it was really nice because it is longer, so I could wear it with just leggings. And I didn't really have to worry that much about temperature regulation because the linen and the silk kept me warm and cool,
yes.
As I needed, which was really nice. And it was
The
lightweight.
sweater that I have is the linen silk thing, and it's lovely.
The cotton one, the linen one, the linen cotton
silk,
the red and white and
off white,
the marled thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm really glad I knit that with that yarn. I'm really glad I have that sweater in my arsenal. And then this is different because it is it's the buffalo or the bison is the main color, and then each of these are just a wool or a merino blend of some sort, I think, mostly. But I think it'll also be really cozy. It's also a bit oversized. And I'm thinking I'm going to try and make it about the same length because it's really nice to have a sweater to just throw on and that I can wear around the house or the apartment with leggings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't typically wear that out of the apartment, except for on 16-hour drives.
Speaking of sweaters, what do you have on now?
This is the Roza pullover. Yeah, I made it more fitted and cropped than it was written for. Yeah. And it's in a Polworth silk blend.
Nice.
Yeah. So I worked on that. I also, as you saw, I worked on all of those socks. And
you're going to have warm feet.
I better have warm feet.
Of course, all the socks that she had darned while she was here got left here.
All but like 2 of them. I know.
Oh, that is pretty. And what is it going to be? I don't understand.
So there is what are they called? What is it called again? Hold on. I have to look it up for a second. Give me a moment.
It's not Stiachalong or Stiach.
No, it's not Stiachalong. This is Peppermint Purple. Is a black work or red work designer, and they do a yearly stitch along where for the last year they had one on Facebook for free. This year they also have one on Facebook for free, and you can have it in a rectangular pattern, or you can do it in a square. So that's the general layout. I will link below. And this is week 1.
Oh, it's weekly.
Yes. So it's weekly. So I have designed a border that is Art Deco inspired.
Nice.
That I will do as we keep going around.
Very nice.
And I've also picked out kind of an Art Deco inspired kind of color set.
Oh, nice.
So the colors that were suggested were a bit more washed out than or a bit more pale than what I have in my hand, but I decided to amp up the tone just so that it would show up a bit better on the stitching. And then I'm doing my borders in green, and I will accent in gold.
Wow.
So yeah, so I planned all that out, and I got that started. So probably maybe tonight or tomorrow I will try and get the rest of the border around the first block done, and I will get maybe I'll do the decorative border that I've designed as well around that section, and then start to prep the next section. A lot of people do their borders beforehand, and then, do their decorative stuff beforehand. I'm worried about miscounting, so I'm going to do it kind of week by week. So I think that'll work. I think it'll be fine. I hope it looks as good as the first block does.
That looks great.
I know. I'm really proud of it. The long stitches, those are done with the whole bean stitch.
I've never heard of that.
No, I was like, what is this? It's where you go, so it's meant to be so you get the same look on both sides. So you go up one, down the next, up the third, down the fourth, and then when you come back, you fill in the opposite. So then you have a line. So yeah, I was like, oh,
very nice.
I'm learning things. So that's what I've been working on. I did prep that. I had told myself I wasn't going to do it unless it was all out of stash. So it is all out of stash, which I'm pretty pleased with. I'm also like, that just shows you how much stash I apparently have.
We have stash.
We do. But that means we're prepared for,
For pandemics.
And
for helping out others.
Yes, because I was actually able to help out our friend who was also doing it, who was doing the colors that are suggested, and she couldn't get them in time, or they were back ordered or something, and I was like, I have them. So I made her a little card, punched holes in it, and put some thread in it.
Oh, nice.
For the first few weeks, for her. And she drove by and picked it up, which was lovely.
Very good.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Oh, and in your cleaning up, you found some more of my stuff, one of which was a big yarn mess. And so now I have yarn. I think I have other skeins of this. Balls, I think, actually, balled up like this at the apartment. I have to find them. But I think I do. Because it's actually pretty nice yarn.
Yeah.
But it was an absolute bear to untangle. But other than that, oh, and then this came from my work holiday party.
Oh, that you made the...
That I made the gnome for, which I got a lovely thank you note for from the recipient. It's a
coronavirus.
A coronavirus Christmas ornament. I'm not going to take it out of its bag because it does have some parts. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. So I'm kind of amused by it. So,
Yes.
So, yeah, what else did you find in your cleaning up?
All right. So I had taken untold numbers of classes at various annual fairs and festivals. This was one given at Rhinebeck, and this was natural dyeing.
Yes.
And this was different dyes with different mordants. And so these are the same range of dyes in the same percentages with two different mordants. This is one of the reasons why I will never be a fan of natural dyes, because these colors make me sad. These are just, I'm not an autumn person. I am someone who likes really deep saturated colors in happy hues. And this is just, I don't know, it looks to me like somebody's grandmother's Victorian Edwardian living room. Which, I mean, some of the indigo is really lovely. Yeah. And I don't even know what
the red and
purples are, but they're nice. But for the most part, it's colors that
you're not drawn to.
I'm not. No, they would depress me if I was wearing them. Am I glad I took the class? I am. I also learned that it's not safer than chemical dyeing, because I know that one of the treatments for the pre-dyeing was lye. So we had to wear industrial strength gloves, the kinds that it looks like electricians wear. And we've never had to do that with our chemical dyes here. We've worn regular surgical gloves and we've been fine. So these are going to go in the trash because they're just these lengths and I can't do anything with them, and unless you want them, they're going in the trash. But it does serve to remind me that's not what I want to do with my life. Are you up to this?
Yes, I think we are up to that.
This came in the mail.
It's the new Vogue knitting.
Yes.
And it is with
Winter.
our new editor-in-chief, right?
Yes.
Nora?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So Nora Gahn has become the new editor-in-chief for Vogue knitting.
And Trish went to Rowan.
Ah.
So I don't know whether she's in England or whether she's editing it here. This is the Plymouth Yarn Design Studio, and I really do like that cable coat. And I could see that you could actually make it into a jumper or a dress. I think it's really, really pretty. They show many of their patterns for multiple sizes, so they've increased the size range.
They've made it much more inclusive in their sizing. And they speak about a ready-to-wear company that has also inclusive sizing that have really good staples to wear with your knits.
Oh, that's good. Apparently there's a new company, Be Mindful. This is from Knitter's Pride.
Yeah, it's the new metal needles.
So, I have a lot of needles I don't need.
Yeah. And then they have a whole section on the
marling.
The marled yarns.
There. I do like this sweater on the back. I'm about to lose the mitten off my lap. That's gorgeous. Yeah. That is Chiaroscuro in Deluxe Worsted Tweed Superwash.
By Universal.
Yes, but that is a very pretty pattern. Yes, very, very pretty. There's new interweave book called The Colorwork Bible. They really don't give a summary there, so
no, that's an ad, Mother.
Yes, well, I'm just going to say that. And then they talk about a few other books: Knit a Hat, Slow Seasonal Knitting, Knitting from Fair Isle, Twisted Stitch Source Book, and Visible Mending for those of you who want to show off on blue jeans and things like that.
Well, or on sweaters that have the elbow,
the patches.
Out. Yeah.
Yes. They do show the patches on the elbows. I know what else your father gave to the church. He gave a pack of sweater that he hasn't worn. It was packed with his old ski goggles. He hasn't skied since 2001.
No, we skied after his surgery once.
I know. That was the next year. His surgery was in 2000.
Oh, I thought it was 21. I don't know. And then there's a really beautiful article by Meg Swanson about her mother.
Yes.
And
handwork and the quotes of Elizabeth Zimmerman brings solace in trying times.
And it's a lovely article about Easy and where her quotes have gone.
No, then we're going to go here. Unbroken Threads, Following the Path of My Ancestors to Discover a Common Thread. And I think she's talking about black knitters.
Yeah. It's by Samantha Brunson, I think, who... I didn't get to read this article yet.
She said, I don't want to write this, was the single thought that ran through my head as I sat on the edge of my bed when I agreed to write this article. But
she's the one who runs the Bobble Club, which is how we met Yakagani, and they had last year, 2 years ago, the Vogue Knitting, they had that pre-event. She hosted that pre-event.
Then this is an article on Don't Kanamari Your Stash.
Yes.
So I really haven't. I have started to zip things up, but they're not getting thrown out, that's for sure. And then there's an article about model behavior, her full circle through fashion, apparently wearing different knits. which is very nice. This is a lovely yoke cowl. Look at that. That was from 2018. Really, really pretty with a turtleneck on it. And then we've got 2020 hindsight on the pandemic, lockdown, spiking unemployment, political tension, and talking about how the fiber world has fared. And we have Felicia from Brooklyn. So really some very interesting articles. They've got Ancient Arts and Internet Savvy. Lauren McElvey, who's also known as Mother of Pearl, and some of her projects, and the fact that she's quite at home both on the internet as well as doing a lot of handwork. She juggles knitting, spinning, designing, and teaching.
So this is the ready to wear.
On clothing for all of us.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah.
People come in different sizes.
Yes, they do.
And then they have.
And we should not exclude anyone who is of any size from being able to make pretty things or wear pretty things.
And then we come to the patterns in the magazine. We've got a cabled hat, which is called Bodie. And then this is a hooded cape. Really nice.
Yeah.
It looks warm. Looks very warm. Brioche, so definitely warm. Then we've got a cable cardigan called the Montauk.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And then a cabled scarf called Sequin.
Sequin?
Sequin?
Mm.
I guess Sequin. Beautiful big cables.
Mm-hmm.
Really pretty cables. And then this is one of the sweaters that's on the cover called Isabel. And they're doing something very different with cables. They're making them into what I would call love knots as they intertwine with each other. That looks like a love knot to me.
I like it. It's pretty.
It's very pretty. And I think that could go certainly on my list of things that I would like to make. Mm-hmm. I didn't really start anything new. Everything I picked up while she was gone was something that I had already started. Might not have been started very far, but I had started it.
I'm very impressed.
And then this is one called Wind Point, which is also heavily cabled, but to me it looks like leaves.
Yeah.
And it's this one. It's also over here, but I think you can see it better here. Really very pretty. And then they're looking at coloring looks, twist, slip, and stripe. This is a Latvian braid cowl. Mm-hmm. God bless. When you can get your Latvian braids going in the right directions, they're gorgeous. And
apparently, Mother has trouble with that.
Yes, if you don't get them going in the right direction, then it looks like a barber pole. Then this is Acadia with a center cable.
And garter. It actually looks super cozy and
it does. Yes.
Just smooshy and...
It does.
Yeah.
It looks really terrific. Then this is interesting, I think, in colors like your... what is that?
This one?
Well, that would be good, but also one you made, I think, 2 years ago.
Shifty?
It looks like it could
yeah.
also be good in bright colors.
Yeah.
I think that's really pretty. It is called the Stonington, and they have chosen stone-like colors.
I mean, we do love Stonington.
Yes, we do. Stonington, Connecticut is a lovely place where Dodson's boatyard is, and they have just about everything you need for your boat, which is great. And they're close to town, so you can walk into town. It's an old town. It's really, really pretty.
And Ben has family in the area.
This is a scarf called Quaddy.
Oh.
And it looks like brioche, too.
It looks like garter, Mom.
Well, it looked like brioche to me. It may not be. This is sequence knitting. So it's got...
Probably garter, then.
Probably garter, as well as some other things in order to get the patterning. Then this is the columnea, which looks like a cardigan vest.
It is. I think that's brioche. And it's, I think, a one-color brioche knit side to side.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this next one is crocheted.
Yeah, 2 strands.
With 2 strands held together. And that looks cozy, too.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice. That hoodie.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Then Davila is a very interesting. I don't know that it would necessarily be cable. It's called cable-like loop stitches. Mm-hmm. Really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then, look!
Zamia. Shorts. Shorts with a little cable detail. You kind of can't see it, but there's a little cable detail here. And
for shaping.
Faux pockets.
Looks really nice. It has a drawstring tie at the waist. And I would think the cables would help it keep its shape.
I would think sleep shorts. I like that.
The Calathea. It's intriguing side-to-side center construction. And I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That is a fun sweater.
It is.
It's got all the things I like. Cables and a V-neck.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Polia.
Yeah.
I'm not as fond of things that don't quite cover over or can't overlap, especially...
You do like a wrap versus an open kind of cardigan.
I do. That's because I live in a cold house.
Well, yes.
But this is really pretty.
It is very pretty.
Very, very pretty. And
there's something about how it's styled that just makes you want to, like, emulate. Like, it's inviting.
Yes, it is.
The way they've styled this. This entire magazine, this entire one, I think, is styled very much in an inviting fashion.
Yes.
Which I'm very pleased by.
This is...
Because sometimes it does not feel as inviting.
Arika. It's a hybrid of a poncho and a pullover.
Ah, so a squancho.
That is cabled.
Oh.
It's not quite as big as some of them.
And it's also not, the sleeves are just holes. They're not brought all the way down. That's why. Okay. I do like the simplicity of this.
This is called ficus, which I think would mean it's for everybody. Mm-hmm. And look at that. I think that's a sweater you could get done pretty easily. It has some really nice eyelet
it's
highlights
just got some really
going along the raglan sleeves,
and
then just before you get to the cuff, really, and the hem. So it's really very, very nice. What they call it for a quick project. So they even say it's quick. It's light as air, cropped raglan pullover with 3/4 sleeves, but of course you can always make those longer.
Yes.
If you're anything like me, you not only need long sleeves, but you need little socks.
Well, unless you're like me and you can either have something right at your elbow or right below your elbow, or you need them to be full length.
And here they talk about how to put a zipper
in and it's so beautifully written. I read through it. I think that it is, if we ever...
it's stunning.
Well, and I think if we ever get rid of the magazine collection, we keep that just for that article, even though I'm pretty sure it says almost exactly what the finishing techniques book says, which you have.
Yeah, I have it someplace.
But I'm pretty sure it says almost the exact same thing. But it was beautifully written, and the way that they describe,
easy to understand.
Well, and the way that they describe different zippers and how to pick the right zipper for the project.
Really critically important.
Really critically important, but also really well written for anyone to understand.
Yes,
so.
and the pictures for every part of the process.
Yes.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I like that striped sweater that I'm working on. She has pictures in the directions of what you're doing.
Nice.
And that makes it so much easier to work on the pattern, because it can get a little intense, especially when you start binding off and you're going, wait a minute, I guess this is the bottom hem. So very interesting.
Well, it's like Tin Can Knits and their Simple collection, their free collection, where they walk you through even in not their Simple collection, they walk you through every step, and they have little diagrams.
They do.
My head of HR actually is knitting a sweater from Tin Can Knits, and I gave it to her. I think I sent her the links to things on the 11th, and she's got at least the body and at least one sleeve done.
That's very impressive.
I know. I think she's channeling all of her anxiety into it, which is fine.
What we often do.
What we all are doing. But it was very cute because she was like, well, it's not as good as yours, Liz. And I was like, it's not a competition. And of course, my only concern was, does it fit? Have you tried it on? And she did, and she was very, very proud of herself. And I had helped her pick out that pattern specifically for the fact that I know Tin Can Knits is very easy to understand. It's also a pattern that I could help walk her through if she had hit any points that she wasn't sure about.
Good thoughts.
But yeah, she hasn't needed it, which is really nice.
That's very good.
So I think I might tell her about the raglan in there. That's very similar.
Yes.
Because she's like, I'm gonna make 1 million of these, and I'm like,
excellent.
How about we move to a different pattern?
So
that we're not wearing the same sweater in just different colors. She says as she's still planning to make like 3 more artichoke Frenches.
I'm not starting my artichoke French until I get a few of the
whips?
A few of the whips.
Well,
yes.
My goal for January is to finish the whips that I started in most of the last year that I have not finished. Mm-hmm. Specifically socks and that sweater. And I would also like to get my Love Witch sweater, the black one, done.
Okay.
That is my goal for January. We will see how far I get in that. But as it is, I'm almost on the next color for this sock. So that's moving quite along
quickly.
Quite a pace.
That's good.
So I think that it is time to weave in some ends, even though I'm not going to be weaving in ends on these socks because
they're socks.
They're socks and they don't bug me.
The magic knot does help.
It does. And I have been kind of noting where the knot is on them and making sure to not put that on the bottom of my foot.
Right.
So, yeah, little things like that.
Very good.
So I think it's time for us to weave in our ends.
So good to see you.
Yes,
we missed you.
And we will talk again next week.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.